Hi, everyone. I'm Meg. You know that. You're on my channel. And today I am joined by my little sister, Mush, because we are going to talk about the Jedi Apprentice books that were written by Jude Watson about young Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn, and also a little bit about how she came to be a Star Wars fan as well. The short of it is that mainly I dragged her into it. So Mush is my sister. She is a teacher. She lives overseas. So we are right now in opposite time zones. And Mush, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you first got into Star Wars, how you were introduced to it?
So I got into it after you did. I believe you first got into it really when was it? Our cousin was watching Star Wars and then you wanted to watch it. So you watched it first, and then after you watched the original trilogy, which our parents made you wait a little while to watch, then they decided that I could watch the original trilogy. However, since I am 5 years younger than you, they let me watch the original trilogy in first grade, like around the end of first grade. They let me watch all of the movies, and I remember you were a little annoyed about the fact that like they made you wait and then they let me watch it.
So since you were in first grade, you were probably about 7 when you watched it. That meant that when you started reading Star Wars books, you weren't reading the adult books like I was. You were reading the actual children's Star Wars books.
Yeah, because I only had a first grade. Well, I only had an elementary school reading level.
So, what were the kind of books you read? I mean, obviously, once the prequels came out, you started reading the Jedi Apprentice books, but what were the books that you were reading before then?
I was reading some like basic chapter books, like the Babysitter Club books, which you had also got me into. And I was really big into Nancy Drew. So I was reading a lot of Nancy Drew mysteries. Our parents had gotten me a set of some of the Nancy Drew books. And I was reading American Girl books because I liked history.
So, for you, the first Star Wars movie that you were able to see in a movie theater was episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I don't think I'm lying to say that your favorite characters are the prequel characters, that like your trio. For me, it's Han and Luke and Leia. And for you, it's Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme. Why did you like them so much? Like, what about each of their characters appealed to you?
Well, I liked Padme so much because she was a boss woman. And like as a young girl, it was really kind of empowering for me to watch a female character who was ruling a planet at a young age, and she was dealing with bad guys and involved in all these cool adventures, and also looking really fabulous with her incredible fashion. Like I still envy Padme's fashion. Like I loved all of her outfits. So she was just a really strong character that I admired a lot. I know I liked Leia too, but I think I liked Padme a lot because she was involved in politics more, and I leaned kind of more into paying attention to politics. Our dad always talked about politics, and I liked her fashion, and she seemed kind of more into fashion than Leia. So she kind of had some of my interests too. And then I liked Obi-Wan because I really liked how Ewan McGregor portrayed him. But then also I grew to really love the character through reading all of the books and just watching Obi-Wan's growth and how he was like with Qui-Gon Jinn. And then I feel like he seems like the model Jedi, but there's a lot of ways where he's not quite like the model Jedi, which was interesting to explore. And then I liked Anakin more when he was younger, and then I thought Hayden Christensen was really cute, so I was that kind of made me like him in Attack of the Clones more. But I don't know. I kind of had a love-hate relationship with Anakin, but there are some strong feelings I have about how things were handled with Anakin that I think maybe if things were different, they would not have happened. I also don't always like his relationship with Padme. I think Han and Leia had a more, I don't know, realistic but also healthier relationship than Padme and Anakin. Part of their relationship's kind of toxic.
Yeah, with Anakin and Padme, just everything happens really quickly. And Anakin clearly has had this fascination with her for a number of years, that especially because with the movies, we jump like right over the Clone Wars and you have to watch the TV shows and read the books to get a handle on it. You sort of see them like in the falling in love stage, and then you jump right to the stage where she's like, I'm pregnant, Anakin, and she just hangs around their apartment a lot. And so you don't get to see a lot of the meat of their relationship because there's a time jump, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I did like all the ways their relationship was handled, because I felt like there were some things where they kind of made her end up being out of character with how they ended up later portraying her versus how she was originally portrayed. That just kind of frustrated me.
So the Jedi Apprentice books, they were published between 1999 and 2002. The first one, I think it was The Rising Force, was written by Dave Wolverton, who wrote The Courtship of Princess Leia. But then the subsequent 17 novels, as well as the 2 special editions, which I think had both Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stories and Anakin and Obi-Wan stories. Those were all written by Jude Watson. She wrote all of them, and then she went on to write the Jedi Quest books as well. You actually own all the Jedi Apprentice books. I tried to get our mom to take a picture, but you have them all in a box, so that didn't work out. What drew you to the Jedi Apprentice books? Like, why did you initially start reading them?
I had read a few children's Star Wars books. So we had the Choose Your Own Adventure books. We had 2 of them. I feel like we had
was it Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, we're missing one. But we had those Choose Your Own Adventure books because I remember I went through a phase in elementary school where I was really into reading those Choose Your Own Adventure books. And we had like the Anakin's journal and Padme's diary books from the first movie. Then I'd read, I can't remember the name, but there's like these children's books that were written before Jedi Apprentice, but they're more with like the era of the original prequels, and I feel like they're like with Luke and like the temple.
Okay. Oh, are you thinking of like the Jedi Prince books about Ken? And they're set after Return of the Jedi. Like at one point, Han and Leia are going to get married, and there's like a Leia replica droid who they marry off to an Imperial, and she murders him. It was like the glove of Darth Vader and stuff.
I think so. They were at the library. They were at the library in the children's section, but they were like Star Wars kids books they were like more along the lines of the original trilogy. I don't remember the name. But I think that is it. So I'd kind of seen those, and then when Jedi Apprentice came out, I was really excited because I had been interested in the character Obi-Wan, and I was like, oh, a book about Obi-Wan. And then the library got like almost all of the books, or we could place them on hold. So then I was able to keep reading them.
So in the first book, Obi-Wan he's about to turn 13, and he hasn't become a Padawan yet. And within the Jedi Order, if a master hasn't taken you as an apprentice by the time you're 13, you're sent to the agricultural corps, and you're never going to become a Jedi. So that's a lot of Obi-Wan's anxieties around the fact that no one has taken him as an apprentice. And if he's not, picked soon, he's never going to become a Jedi. But he is picked. He's picked by Qui-Gon Jinn. So what did you think of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's relationship with each other?
I thought it was interesting because obviously the first book is like he kind of goes on a mission with Obi-Wan, but they're not apprentice and master. They just happen to be in the same location, and he gets to know him better. And then it's in the second book that Obi-Wan is accepted as Qui-Gon's apprentice. And it was interesting. I feel like there's a lot of ways that Obi-Wan had expectations for how he thought his master should act or should respond in situations, and Qui-Gon Jinn usually never acted in those ways. There's also an interesting kind of comparison between Obi-Wan was a bit more kind of strict about following the Jedi rules, and as you go through the books, you see that Qui-Gon Jinn was not quite as strict about following specific Jedi protocol. And I think there's definitely some ways where Qui-Gon Jinn was kind of held back with Obi-Wan. Like he was a little kind of had some barriers or boundaries in their relationship that he was a little careful about. You find out later that he'd had a previous apprentice and things had gone very badly, and that was why he kind of had a hesitance about wanting to take on another apprentice and wanting to take on Obi-Wan, because as you find out later in the books, like his old apprentice was crazy.
Yeah, his previous apprentice, Xanatos, he fell to the dark side, didn't he?
He did, and then he ends up becoming a major villain in the book series.
All I remember about Xanatos, I read these sporadically. I was much more focused on the adult books, but you always had some hanging around, so sometimes I would pick one up, is that there was a ring involved, and somehow like Xanatos has like a scar brand on his face. That's his father's ring or something like that.
Yeah, he has a scar. That's like how they identify him. He has a scar of a ring on his face. I don't remember the total logistics of how that happened, but it was something that was revealed that like he has a scar on his cheek. It's like he put his father's ring there.
So it looks like the first 8 or 10 books involve mostly Xanatos is the villain in the background, like the villain behind everything. But partway through that arc, Obi-Wan actually leaves the Jedi Order, doesn't he?
Yes, he leaves the Order in book 5, which was, I think, book 5 was Defenders of the Dead. He leaves the Order, and then for book 6, he is not in the Jedi Order. So the Uncertain Path, that's the book when like him and Qui-Gon have gone their ways.
Why did he leave the Order? It was something about wanting to support people that Qui-Gon wasn't going to, or something like that.
Yeah, so in the 5th book, him and Qui-Gon, they're sent on a mission to the planet Milda Dawn, and the planet's in the middle of a civil war between these two groups, the Melita and the Dan, who have been killing each other for a long time. And that is where Obi-Wan, he meets with this group of young Milda Dawn like children or youth called the Young, and they're kind of in rebellion against the elders or the leaders in the planet, and they want to stop the civil war, and Obi-Wan gets very caught up in their cause, and he decides that he wants to stay and help them, and he does not want to go back.
How are they able to resolve that? Like, how does he come back and reconcile with Qui-Gon?
So obviously Qui-Gon was a bit upset about that, and it was reasonably so. I was completely shocked when I read that, and I remember I was like, I gotta find out what happens next, and the library did not have the next book available, so we had to place a hold, and I wanted Mom to, when we got the phone call that the book came in, I made Mom take me to the library that same day so I could get the 6 books, because I was like, I have to find out what happens to Obi-Wan. So has gone back to Coruscant because there's been some problems that have been stirring in the Jedi Temple, and Obi-Wan's, he's left on that planet.
Mhm.
And while Qui-Gon and Tal are investigating some things, that's when you have Obi-Wan. He's involved in the planet, what's going on the planet, but things aren't really going how they should be. Like, one of his friends gets shot and killed, and he's kind of, as things go on, it's less and less like what he thought it was going to be like.
Mhm.
And then he ends up deciding that he wants to go back because he realizes that, like, the ones on the planet, that they basically want another war to break out, so everything that they've gone through and his friend that's died, it's basically all for nothing. And he goes back to the Jedi Temple, but and he's welcome back in the Jedi Order, but Qui-Gon does not take him back as his apprentice.
Oh no.
So there's some more drama with that, because Qui-Gon's kind of like, you left us, you did not return back from a mission, and Qui-Gon's a little upset about that.
So we are also introduced to a number of Jedi characters in the Jedi Apprentice books. We meet Adi Gallia, who appeared in The Phantom Menace, and her apprentice, Siri Tashi. Tell us a little bit about Siri and Siri's relationship with Obi-Wan.
It starts out antagonistic, but they, especially like when Obi-Wan returns to the Jedi Temple, Siri's not really very nice to him. But they gradually become friends because their masters are friends. And then by the time you get to the Jedi Quest books, they are really good friends, and they like to go on missions a lot with their apprentices, Anakin and Ferris, who do not get along. My young heart honestly shipped them and thought that they should be a couple. And I was like, they would be a couple if it wasn't for the Jedi Order.
All I could say is in both the Legends stuff and the new canon stuff, it seems that Obi-Wan has a thing for blondes, because in the Jedi Apprentice and Jedi Quest books, it was Siri, and in the 3D animated Clone Wars show, it's the Duchess Satine. So
Oh, I do love Satine.
So we also meet Tal, who's a Jedi who is closely involved with Qui-Gon Jinn and her apprentice Bant. Yeah, what's Tal's relationship with Qui-Gon Jinn like? There's a bit of drama involved there, I think.
Yeah, there's some. So she's a close friend with Qui-Gon, but she's like the librarian of the Jedi archives. But at one point, she fell in love with Qui-Gon.
Oh no.
He just did not quite reciprocate. So that was.
Didn't they at one point they both declared their feelings for each other, which is not Jedi approved. But then she died.
Yeah, she also ended up blind. So yeah, there was a lot of, there was way more drama in these like Kid Star Wars books than you would think. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Qui-Gon at one point gives Obi-Wan a gift, and Obi-Wan is not pleased with this gift. Can you tell us anything about this gift from master to apprentice, what it was and what it was supposed to do?
Yeah, so it was customary on a Jedi apprentice's 13th birthday that they would get a special gift from their master. So sometimes it's like a nice cloak or, you know, different items that would be really useful and nice. And Obi-Wan was really excited about this. And then Qui-Gon Jinn gave him a force-sensitive rock.
A force-sensitive rock.
Which he was not as happy about. Obi-Wan was kind of like, this is a rock, and Qui-Gon's like, I found this rock on a mission and it helped keep me safe, and now I'm giving it to you. And Obi-Wan's not that impressed with it, but later on in the books, I forget which one it is, there actually comes a point in the books where Obi-Wan is in a difficult situation and the force sensitive rock actually helps him.
So it wasn't a useless gift after all, even though he thought it was.
Yeah, he was very disappointed he got a rock, but it ended up being useful in the end. But that's how a lot of the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn things go. Like Obi-Wan thinks something's gonna happen, and then Qui-Gon Jinn does not do that.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I guess they're such different personalities that they sort of have to learn to live with each other, because Obi-Wan always wants to do everything by the book and Qui-Gon does not. So it's sort of learning from each other the benefits of each approach.
Yeah, and Qui-Gon's been very hurt from his previous apprentice Xanatos. So he's definitely a lot more hesitant about some things, and he's a lot more leery about some things because he saw like how quickly his former apprentice went to the dark side. So I think he has more hesitations and about things, and he doesn't hold quite as strictly to some of the that the Jedi Order does, because he's seeing a negative side to it.
Yeah, after all he's gone through, he's able to see that like not everything they do is working, and there, may be situations where you can not follow what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean also like him and the Jedi Tall, like their relationship could have been a lot different if they weren't both Jedis.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mush, for joining me for this discussion of the Jedi Apprentice books. Hopefully I could have you again and we can talk about the Jedi Quest books, which are the ones that came out after Attack of the Clones and are about Obi-Wan and Anakin's master apprentice relationship.
Yeah, those books are kind of like showing the progression for Anakin towards the dark side. It deals a lot with his struggles.
You don't have a YouTube or a Goodreads or anything, so I unfortunately have no links to link people to your stuff, but I will be happy to see you again soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.